We have breaking news here on NBA Today from our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, on Tuesday, the Sixers, they said that Joel Embiid will be out for this opening week due to injury management. And the question that I've been asking, as they essentially announced that he would not be playing in back-to-backs, that he's going to be incredibly careful this year, is what does the league think of all that? What more can you tell us?
I'm told by multiple sources, Malika, that the NBA is set to start an investigation later this week into the Philadelphia 76ers and this situation surrounding Joel Embiid and whether they are in violation of the player participation policy. And this is a complicated situation for the league, for the Sixers, and obviously Joel Embiid, because it's not black and white in terms of there is no specific injury. Like with Kawhi Leonard, we know he's got that swelling in his knee. With Chris Middleton, we know that he has double ankle surgeries that he's coming off of. With Joel Embiid, it's been a lot of the new normal that we've been told in terms of the periodic time off that he is scheduled to take this upcoming season, as well as making sure, in his perspective, that he is 100% for the playoffs. He has not been his entire NBA career. So this is really the Philadelphia 76ers strategy for the season on how they can best approach it. And that is how they want to go about it. Does the league have an issue with it? We are going to find out very soon.
The issue, I think, was when Joel Embiid says publicly, I will play no more back-to-backs.
Right.
You know, even if he doesn't play any more back-to-backs, the league doesn't exactly like that messaging. And also, it doesn't follow their policies about having him sort of go through various protocols. I think generally what the league doesn't want to have here is there to be any sort of thing that's, you know, not based on the best product. And what it looks like is that maybe they didn't exactly cross all their T's and dot their I's on this.
Sure.
But Joel would, because of his injury history, qualify for missing games because of his history of injuries. But announcing, for example, you're going to miss a back-to-back in March, in September, doesn't exactly follow that rule.
Right, because he does follow the criteria, as you're saying, about the superstars with the prerequisite amount of league experience. He does fall into that category. I guess the question now, Shams, is when are we going to see this guy on the floor?
He will not play this week. They have 3 games this week. He will not be playing. The 76ers said that. But he is progressing into scrimmaging this week. And obviously, as we know, with players who are on the cusp of a return or potential playing, scrimmaging, very, very important. 5-on-5, very, very important. And so that's the next step for Joel Embiid. And so we'll see how he comes out of that. But with him and his knee, we know this has been an issue throughout his career. Like Brian just said, he has missed time. And that's why this is a unique situation for the league. This is complicated. This is not a situation where we know directly, you know, it's not like they've shut him down. Right. He has had a history of injuries. And also, for the league's perspective, he hasn't practiced significantly so far in training camp, and he hasn't played in preseason. So having him scrimmage, that's obviously the next step to playing.
Again, why not? Why hasn't he practiced? What is he progressing from? Like, those are the questions that need to be answered, because if you're progressing, that means you didn't practice, so that means something had to be wrong. That's the way I'm taking it. Next thing, right? When it comes down to Joel Embiid, I strongly believe that Joel Embiid would never be 100% for the rest of his career. I think we're to this point because of his past, for us, his injuries.
Yep.
When I look at the Philadelphia 76ers, I'm like, listen, you need Joel Embiid on the floor. The league is too talented. Forget waiting until you get to the postseason. You got to make it to the postseason, right? Especially in the Eastern Conference, like Cleveland ain't no joke. Orlando is right there. New York is in the mix. Indiana, I mean, the list goes on. So do you want to continue to play with fire like that? I understand you got to protect them, but it's a balance between the two.
I think the biggest issue is this concept of prioritization of the playoffs, because that's sort of antithetical to the mission of the NBA or anybody that's a professional. You're trying to show up for each game through 82 games for the fans and then also have that standard. Now, we all understand that Joel Embiid, I mean, maybe it's too difficult to list one injury when it's literally full body management, but I feel like the transparency in saying, hey, maybe this is bothering, and being public about that, and then that giving a reason to sort of say we can be, you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we're trying to manage the situation, that would have been better, but it just seems a little too ambiguous for anyone to feel good about it.
This is essentially their strategy, because they have tried everything year after year, and obviously Joel Embiid has wanted to play in regular season games. He's wanted to compete for All-Stars, MVPs. We've seen that. So this is a new approach from the Sixers. Clearly, they've been very public about it, that this is how we feel we can finally get him healthy on the floor at the playoffs. But is it right? And the league will soon determine.
Yeah, and that's what the league is looking at right now. We are talking about a player who only played in 39 games last season. And so what are you trying to progress past? What is the goal? I would love to know for how many games he is slated to play in this year, what their hope is, because they do want to be a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. Avoid the Boston Celtics in those early rounds here, as we just saw when Shams broke the news of Embiid and George being reacting. That news came out. A lot of people took notice. It was pretty swift acting according to the odds makers. The Sixers, they were the home favorites, and now they're on the other end of that heading into play tonight. Janae, last word.
Yeah, Shams, I'm curious because I think also not only prioritization of the playoffs, but it's also setting a precedent, right, for other players. That's probably what the league is concerned about.
All right, let's set the pick here, brought to you by ESPN Bet, the official sports book of ESPN. So, Wendy, we know you don't make picks, so we're not going to make you, but Perk, Janae, you do. The top scorer for the Bucks and Sixers tonight, Perk, is?
I'm going with Giannis.
Yes, same.
And it may be all in the paint.
And that's okay. 30-12 on 60% shooting last year. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo. We're on the same page.
I'm going with Tyrese Maxey in this one. I really do think because Giannis is still easing in, right? It's early. He's going to have like 24 points.
Have you ever seen Giannis ease in?
They're trying.
But
They're trying to teach him that vocabulary.
Exactly.